Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about handwriting analysis, forgery, and counterfeiting. This is to go along with Chapter 10 that you should have read prior to listening to these notes. We're going to go rather quickly. Feel free to pause and rewind and rewatch this video for extra help. The goals for this lesson are to describe the 12 types of handwriting characteristics that you can analyze in a document. We want you to recognize those characteristics and be able to demonstrate what the three types are. Identify the goal of handwriting analysis to tell the difference between forgery and fraudulence, and identified several ways that businesses prevent check forgery. We'll be doing some labs and activities as the chapter continues to help reinforce these concepts. So, handwriting. It's unique to individuals, just like fingerprints. They each have their own style. Each person develops this as they learn to write. This can be altered or changed through time. You may start handwriting in one way and then change over time as you grow or change. Samples must be compared to known samples so that we can prove they are matched, much like our fingerprint unit. We must match them to a known document. Handwriting can be forged, meaning you can copy someone else's handwriting. Some of you may have tried to do this, depending on what you've done in the past. You may have tried to copy your mom's handwriting or your dad's handwriting. This is possible, so it's not quite as hard of a science as fingerprints. However, it can be very useful in trying to identify criminals or forgeries. So handwriting analysis fits in the area of question documents. A question document is anything that we think may be altered or changed in order to commit some kind of crime. The FBI has a special documents unit. They are experts at looking at the handwriting, typewriting, whether or not something was erased, or any other alterations that may happen on a given document. They're going to analyze both what is written and the paper and ink that is used to write. We have several tests that we can do to determine the source of the ink or the paper, and that can help us narrow down suspects and prove that it came from one source versus another. When we look at documents, we're going to be looking at the handwriting, the ink, the paper to try to figure out if it is authentic. Authentic meaning real, and it is truthful. Some things that we would check for question documents would include letters, checks, licenses, contracts, wills, and passports. You have many documents in your life that are extremely important, and they are very powerful. So depending on the document will depend on what kind of crime is attempting to be committed. Some famous forensics handwriting analysis cases where we've used handwriting to convict criminals. The Lindbergh baby. You may want to do some extra research on this story. It's quite interesting. Bruno Richard Hauptmann. He was tried and convicted for the kidnapping and murder of the son of Charles Lindbergh. This is his ransom note. You can see it was written in hand or handwritten, and then his handwriting was matched to that of the ransom note, and therefore it was enough to convict him of the crime. In the United States, you can use handwriting as expert testimony, although this is still controversial. It is admissible in court. However, you must follow some very specific scientific guidelines that we're going to talk about next. So there are 12 traits that we're going to focus on. These traits are going to be best when you look at them in examples from your textbook. In your textbook on page 280 is demonstrations or examples of each of these kind. We'll be going through more of these in person and as we complete a few of our own handwriting analysis. There are 3 steps when analyzing handwriting. The first step is to take a look at the questionable document. This would be evidence that we collect from a crime scene or we obtain in some other way. Step 2 is to compare that writing to something of the suspects. We do need multiple suspects. The example of a suspect's handwriting is what we call an exemplar. And then once we've analyzed both documents, we're able to compare and see if there's any connections between the two handwriting. Some rules for collecting these would be to make sure that the suspect does not see the document in question. They do not see the evidence. They are not to be told how to spell things or punctuate, so there is no correcting them. Whatever they write, that is what is analyzed. They should be told what to write so that they can make explicit judgments based on things that are the same between the document in question and the exemplar. And you must have a witness as well. We have some more modern techniques to collect handwriting, including biometric signature pads. These are going to look at how fast you sign your name, how much pressure you put on the pen, and the rhythm of the signing. We also have computers that can analyze handwriting as well. Next topic is forgery. Forgery is when you try to create a document in order to do material gain. You are trying to fraud someone. Some common examples of this include altering a check. You can take another person's check and try to cash it, and creating a check from scratch. There are three main types of forgery. Simulated forgery, which is copying a genuine signature. Traced forgery, one made by tracing a genuine signature, so taking the signature of someone and tracing it onto another document. Or blind forgery, where you have no idea what the support or what the signature looks like, you just make it up. Some common types of forgery include paper money. We're going to be watching a video later in the unit about how the United States tries to protect its money from forgeries, also called counterfeiting. Identity, people may try to assume the identity of someone. You may have heard that in the news. They could try to steal your social security number, your driver's license. Another common type of theft is credit cards. It's becoming very popular. Another one that most students don't think about is art. You can make a lot of money by copying famous works of art and then trying to sell them as originals. Less common, but it does happen, is literary forgery, where you try to claim that the material that you are using actually is much older and comes from a famous author. That is another example of forgery. So evidence in the courtroom. When we take it to the courtroom, we are going to have to prove that the handwriting matches that of the suspect. This can be difficult. Fatigue can play a factor in your handwriting. As you write, you will become tired. Your letters and formations of those letters may be more difficult to analyze. Experts can miss details as well, making the entire practice important in crime fighting. However, it cannot be the only evidence we have to convict a criminal. Counterfeiting is a specific kind of forgery, usually including money. This is where we try to create fake money so that we can use it without actually earning it. This can come in many forms: currency, which is money, traveler's checks, food stamps, bonds, and postage stamps. So there's a picture of a $10 bill. We have many features of our currency to make sure that other people cannot copy or create fake currency. We'll be studying this a little bit more. The people in charge of this are actually the Secret Service, the same people who protect the President of the United States. If you have any money on you, you can take it out and look at it. You will see many features that make it hard to recreate or forge. Some examples: the portrait on each of the bills appears to be off of the thing, off of the paper. It seems to come out of the paper. There might have fibers woven throughout the bill. They also have innate details printed on there that are very difficult to recreate. The last thing we're going to talk about today is internet crimes. These are becoming more popular. We are experiencing many computer intrusions, identity theft using computers. They may hack your identity using your Facebook account or your Steam account or your Xbox account. There are many ways that criminals can assume your identity and therefore make charges, buy things using your information. It can be extremely damaging to the victim, and criminals can make a lot of money from it. Extortion and harassment, piracy. Piracy is where you take someone else's without paying it. You take their service without paying for it. This would be an example of taking a movie from the movie theaters and watching it on a pirated website. This would be a form of internet crime. And also cyber terrorism, trying to impact world stage by attacking computer systems in some way. That is a summary of Chapter 10. Handwriting analysis is what we're focusing on. We're also going to be talking a little bit about paper currency and how we protect our money from criminals. And then the last little topic that we touched on just briefly was internet crime and how technology is changing the way criminals try to steal our information and use it for their own gain. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, feel free to pause, rewind, or rewatch any parts of the video. You should also be going through your textbook and following the assignments as posted on Google Classroom and on our forensics website. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.